People love looking at food. They're like voyeurs when it comes to like seeing what people eat. So I'll talk a little bit about how I came about, and if you were in the cooking and already heard this, you can leave for 2 minutes and come back. But so I started my blog and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok 4 years ago, just out of a hobby. I was working as a personal chef for a family, and I always have posted my food pictures on the internet and on Facebook, and my family would get so aggravated all the time and say, quit posting them. So I decided to just create an account just for food pictures, so I quit subjecting my family to all of my food pictures, and my mom asked me why I'm eating so much. So I was working as a personal chef for a family. I did some, is it okay if I sit? Do you guys mind? Okay. So I did some household management and things like that for them, and so they used to call me their housewife. And the dad was a busy doctor. They didn't have any family, so that's why they hired me. They were very wealthy, so they had money to hire me, and so they started calling me their housewife. And three kids, decided we were going to implement happy hour into the family. So I used to drink all the drinks, and they would call me their tipsy housewife. So I decided that's what I was going to name my food blog. So I started on Instagram, and I started posting just like pictures of my plate or whatever, and kind of looking at other accounts and seeing what they were doing and like what kind of pictures they were posting, just out of curiosity. Because our iPhones, you don't have to be a photographer. They have so much technology in them that you could take pretty great pictures if you kind of just know how to like hold at the right angle and do the right lighting. And then my account started to grow, which I was really surprised that many people, considering how hateful my family was about my food pictures, the internet was really welcoming about the food pictures. So I grew from like 5,000 to 10,000. I think I'm at like 34,000 followers right now on my Instagram. And I did that all organically. There's lots of ways out there where people like do these like buying followers and doing all this kind of stuff, which I never recommend doing, because the algorithm knows that those are bots and it hides your account, and you'll never get any kind of traction with that. So that was all organic growth. So you'll get emails if you sign up for an Instagram account. You'll get emails saying like, "What can help you grow your account?" Just delete those. Those are bots, and Instagram and Facebook will punish you for adding that to your account. So I grew the Instagram account, and then someone said, "Oh, you need to put it on Facebook too," and I grew the Facebook account. And then, of course, people were seeing the food I was making and asking for the recipes, and someone said, "You need to start a blog because you can monetize a blog by ad revenue." And so I started my Tipsy Housewife blog, and eventually was able to quit my job, and this is my sole income. So not that this is a little bit relevant to what you guys are doing with your food businesses, but what I do in addition to just posting the food I make is I will have small brands like you come to me, or sometimes bigger brands. I work with some bigger companies like Aldi, Knorr, I can, like Kraft. I've worked with Hellmann's. I've worked with a few different brands. So they'll come to me, and they'll say, just say it's a maple syrup business. You would come to me and you would say, "Oh, do you want to try our maple syrup? And if you like it, how much does it cost for you to post about it on your account?" Because I have a lot of followers. Then what I would say is, "Oh my gosh, I love this maple syrup from this so-and-so farm, and you guys should buy it too." And then I drive sales to your website. And so there's a bunch of people like me on the internet where this is not my word, they call us influencers, which I hate. I think that word is so weird. But there's people that have hundreds of thousands of followers, millions of followers, like the Kardashians, I think, just reached like the highest amount of followers of anyone on the internet for being not very interesting. But like getting product out to these people and having them say that they like it is a great way to grow a business. And so I do that through several different outlets, and this might be of some interest to you when you guys are prepared for that, is there are businesses that you can actually go to and say, "Find me some influencers that would represent my brand." You pay them, they get your product out to these cooks or these home cooks. They use your product. There's rules. I mean, I get like a 16-page contract about the angle they want the photo and the words that you can say and everything like that. And so that's how people like me make money on the internet. And then also driving traffic to my blog, which I sell ad revenue for. But on that same vein, I work with a lot of small food brands like you guys, family brands, mostly in the specialty food spectrum, which obviously maple syrup does. And what I do is I work with them 3 different ways. One way is they hire me to consult with them about how to grow their platforms, even just how to use the apps. A lot of people don't know how to even just utilize the apps because they each have their own set of rules. Some brands hire me to create the content, so like I would go to say like their business and I would take tons of pictures of their content, of their products, of their facility, of how they're doing it, and I create files for them so that they can go ahead and post. They'll have content for their pages, because it takes a lot of time to do that. And then a couple clients I work with in the specialty food spectrum, I just do the whole gamut. I take pictures of their content, I post for them, I create all their content, I respond to their followers, I just do a whole level of social media management for them. So I'm only able to handle about 5 clients, so I have 5 clients that I work with on a monthly basis like that. So, you know, I started this Tipsy Housewife business with very little knowledge of even where to start. I was using my own page, my own personal April page, and then realized you have to create a business account, which also opens you guys up to different tools that maybe regular people don't have. They have a creator's account where it helps you create the content and edit and tells you how to post it and whatnot. So that's what the Tipsy Housewife is for everyone. I bought this new rack from Costco and I don't, it doesn't have a port to plug the thing in. So okay, so I was talking with this lady when she came in earlier about using different platforms. And there's a lot of pressure to think that you need to be on every single platform that's out there. And that can be extremely overwhelming because the way you post and the content you create for each of these platforms is very different. And obviously, if you're making the maple syrup, if you're making the product, you don't have time to sit on the internet all day long like I do for 8 to 10 hours a day doing this kind of stuff. So we'll talk a little bit about each of these platforms and what makes sense for your brand and like who you think your customer is. I mean, obviously, the big ones are Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Pinterest. And each of those has a very specific use for getting your name of your brand out there. And so if you want to think about what your goal is for your product, are you looking to just tell your story? Are you looking for this to be a creative outlet for your brand? Or are you looking to really leverage the power of social media to sell products? That would make a difference of what platform that you're going to operate your business on or how many platforms you want to operate your business on. So is everyone here looking to like sell their product using? Raise your hand if you're looking to use the platforms to sell your stuff. Okay, do you have a platform for your business now? How many people actually have a Facebook and post regularly? Okay, all right, so we'll walk through each one of these. So, and this is no offense to anyone, so don't think I'm being like rude when I say this, but like each one of these has a different demographic that's very comfortable using these platforms, okay? So Facebook right now is a lot of older people. I mean like 35 and over, I'm 45, so like I'm one of the older people using Facebook. It's kind of outdated, but in the food spectrum, it's a very useful platform for people who are looking to talk about food products or share ways to use your food products. One of the great advantages to using Facebook in a food-related business is that you're able to put clickable links in your posts. On the other platforms, you're not able to do that. So like if I have a recipe on Instagram, a picture of a recipe I've made, I'm not able to put a link in my post in the caption for people to click out to. So the importance of getting clicks is because, an example, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling, so let me know if I'm not being clear, just interrupt me and let me know. But one of the ways that, so I work with a small business that make Czech bread and potato dumplings. We utilize the platform of Facebook with links to recipes using their products, which drives numbers to their website. So they have an interest in growing their brand on a national level. So when we go to these retail supermarkets, and they have the capability for the most part to be able to, you know, support a 10,000 case order if they get into Costco, or a 5,000 case order if they get into Hy-Vee or whatever it is. So one of the ways we utilize social media is we drive clicks to their website from Facebook platforms. And we use Google Analytics, which everyone has access to. If you have a website, you're able to attach your website to Google Analytics, which give you scary, specific information about who's clicking to your site, down to like their address and like the words they search on the internet, which is creepy Like, if you ever thought your phone's listening to you, it's listening to you, okay? So what helps with a small food business, though, is you can take those Google Analytics to these retailers, to these buyers that are in these grocery stores and say, for example, with the dumpling company, I created a stuffing recipe 2 years ago that went viral. It ended up getting 22 million clicks to their website. I was able to pull numbers from Google Analytics, from our social media platforms, and from their website to say, hey, look, I had 380,000 clicks from Southern California this year of people clicking on the where to buy option, and we don't have these products in any of these stores in Southern California. We'd love to put the products in these routes because we had 300,000 people looking for them that had no access to it, that used our retailer locator and produced no results. So with that information, I was able to get their products into 456 Ralph's grocery stores in California, and then under the Kroger banner in Houston and Dallas in Texas. And so that grew their business exponentially based on those clicks. So Facebook is really good for a food business because, like I said, you can post teasers saying, like, here's my maple syrup and here's a cocktail I made with it. Click to our recipe site on our blog or on our website, and then you're capturing that data and those analytics to go to retailers to say, hey, I have a product that the customer base wants. Prior to that, the dumpling company's wife was taking in emails to these brokers and saying, like, look, this person from California emailed me and they really want the dumplings there. Well, you know, these grocery stores, as you know, and I'm sure some of you know, they want numbers. They want to know how many feet are in the aisle, how many feet are you going to get in the aisle with your product. The other good part about the Facebook and using that with the links is if you're interested in growing your product into the retail supermarket, let me drink water because I'm like dry from talking, is creating recipes that use items from other parts of the grocery store. So for example, the stuffing recipe I created that went viral uses sausage, uses vegetables, all perishable things from throughout the store. Uses dairy, you know, to put the whole recipe together, and uses their dumplings. And so what we were able to say is like, hey, 20 million people clicked on this recipe, and if they come in to make this specific recipe, as they do with their phone in hand with the ingredients list right there, then you say to those retail brokers, hey, you know what, they're coming in to buy my dumplings, but they want to make this recipe, and that's a $28 basket ring for your customer just because they're coming in to make this with my product. Brokers and food buyers and food distribution love to hear that kind of information. They want to know, everyone thinks they have the best product, and they're not wrong. Like, every single person here really loves your product that you're creating, but you need to make that, the grocery store doesn't care about your product. They don't care that it was your great-grandmother's recipe and this is your, they just don't. The customer cares about that, but the grocery store buyers want to know, how is your product going to bring feet into the aisle and increase their customers' basket ring? And that is a great way to leverage social media to talk about specialty food items. So that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy using Facebook. Plus, older people have more money most of the time than younger people do, so they're able to go out and splurge on specialty ingredients more so than somebody who's younger that's using these other platforms and maybe have a little bit more time on their hands to like spend time in the kitchen. They don't have little kids running around. So the older demographic on Facebook is a very valuable customer base that you want to tap into when you have a food product, especially. And the same kind of goes for Instagram. Instagram was like the new coolest thing a couple years ago, and now it's kind of also the Facebook people who've gotten comfortable with Facebook are feeling like comfortable. Like my grandma, she's 85, she's been on Facebook for years, mostly heckling people. She really hates Meghan Markle. I don't know why, but she doesn't know that when she leaves mean comments on Meghan Markle's post that everyone can see it. So weird. And I don't tell her because it just makes me laugh when she does it. But she's gotten comfortable with Facebook, so now she thinks, oh, I can go use Instagram too, and that's much more user-friendly. So the great thing about Instagram, even though it sucks that you can't put clickable links out to your website on your captions, is they have what's called a stories feature where you can upload 15-second videos or a series of videos, and you have a link, a clickable link that you're able to add to that platform. Now, I only have an hour with you, so I don't want to go through every single platform and show you how all the features work. My recommendation for you would be to go to YouTube. There's plenty of videos. Just say, how do I use Instagram stories, and you can watch like a quick 5-minute video on YouTube how to do it. I didn't want to waste your time teaching you each of those little steps when you could just easily Google that or YouTube it. So the Instagram option is really great for food businesses because, and I say this later, so I'm gonna make this joke again, so like laugh twice if you think it's funny, but people want to see literally how the sausage is made. People are nosy, they're nosier than anything, and they want to see every single detail of your life. You're making syrup, they want to know what you're eating for breakfast, they want to know what color underwear you're wearing, they want to know what you buy at the grocery store, they want to know every single thing about your life, and that's how you get a customer to connect to your brand. So, I mean, you know, everyone in this room makes maple syrup, I'm assuming. There's a million maple syrup brands out there. So what is it about your brand that makes it special? What's your brand stories? And the Instagram stories, they expire after 24 hours, but they give your customer base or people who are just nosy a chance to kind of look at what you're doing. So, you know, if it were me, and I don't know anything about making maple syrup, I'm sorry, so if I say something wrong, just bear with me. But if you go out there and like tap your trees, people will watch a 15-second video of you, if you hammer it in, will watch a 15-second video of you hammering that thing in, and that will be something that goes viral. People are like weird like that, and they want to see those little details. So I definitely recommend using Instagram to tell that story side of your platform. So TikTok is a whole new ballgame. It's a weird mix of people on there. It's very young kids, and it's very much older people. So, and it's also a lot of like political stuff that's on there that people make jokes about. But I do like TikTok because the videos are quick. You could put music to them. Facebook and Instagram are weird about licensing things, but adding music and whatnot. TikTok is fun. I'm not very well versed on TikTok. I'm learning TikTok now because it is now becoming the #1 social media platform. But we're gonna touch on like why you don't need to use everyone. Now YouTube, so this is an interesting twist with YouTube. People can either sell their products or they can sell how to make their product. So I have worked with a lot of food businesses who obviously make a lot of money and sell their products, and you know they're making money off selling their products, but they're also leaders in their industry. For example, the dumpling company makes their bread dumplings on this machine that the great-grandfather patented and invented back in like 1906. And it's the only machine of its kind. And so we're holding out because there's gonna come a point where like no one wants to make the dumplings anymore. And there's a way that we could leverage YouTube to teach people how to make the dumplings themselves or how to build this machine. Or you can become the leading expert on YouTube about making maple syrup, and you can make money off of YouTube. So Facebook and Instagram don't allow you to make money from the actual platform. Well, Facebook does now, but that's a whole different story. But on YouTube, once you get 1,000, I think, followers, you can apply through a company called AdSense, who will put commercials on your YouTube videos, and you can make a lot of money, like just from people watching your YouTube videos. And I'm talking like 5 to 6 figures sometimes a month, depending on what you're sharing. So I follow a couple on YouTube that's a Disney couple. I don't even go to Disney World, but their stories are so interesting of how they break down their trips to Disney World that it's just calming for me to watch them. And I don't have any plans to vacation in Disney, but I watch this guy's stories every day. This guy made something like $20 million last year on YouTube. So I don't know what the cap is for selling maple syrup, you know, like how much potential there is with money, if there is or whatnot. But if you think that people are interested in learning about making maple syrup, making YouTube videos about making your maple syrup is a great way to generate money to your business. So recently we started, Facebook is in kind of competition with this. People are leaving Facebook to go to these platforms, and now they do pay for videos on there. So I've started a second stream of income for several of my clients about their products and how they're made by making videos about them that then get ads placed on them, and they make, you know, a few $1,000s a month for just sharing, you know, how the sausage is made. And then finally, Pinterest. And Pinterest might seem like kind of a dull, not important platform, but Pinterest is the #1 driver of clicks to mytipsyhousewife.com of all time because it's recipes. So when you go to type in a Google recipe for pork roast, that is like generated through, most of the time, the SEO, the search engine optimization of Pinterest. So if you have a food product and you want people to buy your food product, you need to give them ideas about what to use your product for. So I mean, automatically the average American thinks about maple syrup and they're like, well, I'm not spending $10 on a bottle of maple syrup because I only eat pancakes once a month. Well, no, you can make cocktails with it. No, you can make pork roast with it. No, you can make all these other recipes with it. So when I talk to people who have a small specialty food item, I very strongly encourage them to put a recipe page on their website and then use Pinterest to post those recipes to generate clicks to your website. Yes?
I've had one where a lot of people like to put maple sugar, rub it on, and then they put some meat and then they put it on the grill.
Right, and those...
You know, I never even thought about that for visual.
Right. And so again, you need to look at a YouTube video. There's actually a podcast, which I don't really like listening to podcasts, but there's a really good podcast out there called the Simple Pin Podcast. And this lady tells you how to create pins because there's a science to it. Pinterest likes, you have to create a cover for every pin that you make on Pinterest. And again, YouTube this and watch some videos, listen to this Simple Pin Podcast to see the formula. But they specifically like 600 by 900 square photos on Pinterest, and those are the ones they make viral. And it's the way everyone knows what the word algorithm means, how the algorithm works, how these computer programs are set up to run these platforms. So there's a misnomer that you take a picture of something, you post it on Facebook, and everybody sees it. No, everyone's not seeing it. Probably more people are not seeing it than are seeing it because you might not be giving that algorithm the size photo they like, or the type of photo they want, or the type of crop that they want to show up on their platform. And there's all answers to this on Google and YouTube if you just say like, what size photo for Pinterest, what size photo for Facebook. It seems very complicated, but my advice would be to master the one first that you think makes most sense for your business, and then go from there. But if it were my advice and you're just starting out, I would highly recommend creating a Facebook account, creating a recipe page on your maple syrup page. Again, it doesn't have to be super complicated things either. It could just be like what you said of, hey, this is the uses of it. And then creating a Pinterest page that drives traffic to your blog. So there's something called Evergreen posts on Pinterest, which means for some reason that post was just a perfect post. And for me, I have 3 of those on my Pinterest and go to my blog that has made me 80% of my income every single month for the last 4 years. One is my grandma's brown steak and gravy recipe that I modified to make in an Instant Pot. One is I probably owe my grandma some money, but one is her chicken recipe, and then the other one is this, grandma! One is this little mini Big Mac recipe, which Taste of Home magazine found on my Pinterest page, has now put it on 2 of their magazine covers, and it's in this month's copy of Taste of Home magazine for February and March with my picture. But those are all ways that you get noticed, and that's what these people that are running these magazines and these television shows, I get asked at least 5 or 6 times a year from Food Network that they saw me on Pinterest or Instagram or Facebook and want me to come on one of their dipshit shows, which I will not do because it's just goofy, but I don't want that. But anyway, so Pinterest is one that you really should think about using and really should think about putting recipes or uses. It doesn't have to be extremely detailed recipes about your product. It could be a short thing, or make something up. Rub maple syrup on your eyebrows and they'll grow, or something like something that's gonna get clicked. No, for real, like something that you think would be of somebody might not do it. And don't ever be afraid to dumb something down to like the lowest common denominator, because that's who's on the internet. So I mean, I'll have people ask me questions that I'm just like, how do you spread the mayonnaise? And I'm like, okay. So I'll take a video of myself spreading mayonnaise and people will go crazy over it. I told the last group, my husband works, I think it's called second shift. He works 2 to 10:30. So he gets home from work about 11:30, and I like to have dinner waiting for him. So a couple weeks ago, and I'm not saying this to brag, I'm sharing this information to tell you the power of social media. I made him a really nice turkey sandwich with like avocado and pickle and just like a nice looking sandwich, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna film this. So I literally picked it up, filmed it, put it to a song. It's gotten 9 million views and it made me $13,000 last month. Yeah. Just me showing it.
Which platform?
That was on Facebook. Because Facebook now has to pay creators money to make reels. So that was a
I don't even know
Facebook.
what you mean by reels.
Reels are short videos that they've now added to Facebook to compete with TikTok. So Mark Zuckerberg, you might watch the news, he got in a bunch of trouble with Congress because he's making money off of people like me putting stuff on his platforms, and he's selling advertising space and not giving us a dime. So Congress, that's another disaster, but they decided to come after him, which was good, and now he has to pay people who are creating reels on their accounts, and you don't have to have a ton of followers. So I've done that with the dumpling company, and like I said, that's a second steady stream of income. And something like as detailed as what you guys do would be a gold mine on social media. And you think it's like pennies, but I mean I can show you. It's called bonuses. It's right now. Let's see what it's at right now, because my mom can't even believe it. And I'm gonna go to Mexico on this money. It's the most I've ever made. But my point is that it really, is an opportunity for you to optimize what product you're making and to make a second stream of income on there. It's at $13,021.
Which platform is that?
That's Facebook.
Facebook.
So you put your PayPal account down there, and you just dump it right in your account at the middle of every month. Last month they only made $218, so don't think this is something that happens every single month. But you know what? That's some money that I will use to grow my business in other ways. I want to do some trademarking stuff, and so it might seem silly, but that's money in your pocket that you're already taking pictures of the content and doing what you do that you could be investing back into your business.
Isn't Instagram also uses Reels too?
Instagram also uses Reels, and they also pay creators, but I'm in Instagram jail because I mentioned that I had COVID, so they banned my account for 90 days, so I am not doing that right now, but...
You don't say that.
Huh? Yeah.
You can link them.
You can link them together, but that's what we're going to talk about, so...
Getting ahead.
No, it's okay, those are good questions, and please keep asking the question.
Your peanut butter and mayonnaise, the thing, was that when you videoed it, where did you upload that to?
That was on Facebook. It was a turkey sandwich, and I
Okay.
put it on, yeah. And that's the one that they let go viral. And that Charlie Barron smoothie that brought me so much hate, which people are so pissed off about for some reason. I don't know. But keep yelling at me, because every time it's like...
So how does a sandwich go viral? Like what, any you said
So-
there's certain, like at Pinterest, there's like certain size photos that.
I'll tell you what. On Facebook Reels, when you click to add music, they give you some options that they've chosen.
Yeah.
And I picked one of the songs that they suggested. So what happened was, because I used that popular song that, like, if you all have kids, you probably hear them dancing to these stupid songs or whatever.
Baby sharks.
Yeah, so it gets added to that hashtag, which is a whole other thing that we do not have time to talk about today. When you watch YouTube videos about hashtags, you'll learn. But it got added into that thing, and so people, every time someone clicks on it and sees it, then all their followers see it. And then when those people engage with it, then all their followers see it, and it just skyrockets. So it's at, like, views-wise,
That's good to use.
it's at 11,442,523 views, okay? So linking your Instagram and your Facebook, which is the one thing I want to come across to you guys is posting appropriately. What time do we have until?
You just keep going. You just keep going.
We're good.
2:10. 2:10, okay. So Facebook is a specific audience. So what you're posting to Facebook is probably not going to appeal to the same people who are using Instagram. And so, like I said, the Facebook user on average is 45 and older, mostly 55 and over at this point of who's using Facebook. So you need to think about what you're posting and what would be appealing to that type of user. So one of those fad trend dances that go on TikTok is not going to be anything, Josie at 55 gives one crap about. She wants to see it. Where's the recipe? She wants to see it. She wants to be able to click it, and those are the comments I get. Where's the recipe? It's right there. So keep that in mind when you're using Facebook, that you have to be appealing to an older person that is a Karen that's gonna say something rude, or I always love these, well, I made your recipe and it came out like crap. I said, okay, well, did you change anything? Well, I took the milk out and just put water, and then you said to use cheese, but I just used like cauliflower instead, and it was terrible. But those are gonna be the people, but you know what? You don't care that they're saying something rude because that's engagement, and that's what you want. TikTok is all the funny stuff. It's everyone who's whatever. I don't think that TikTok applies right now to what you guys are looking to do. If you got really good at creating video content and making like short, quick videos, spend some time on TikTok. The main page when you sign up for an account is called the FYP, the For You page. So it's listening to your phone and it's giving you content that they think you're interested. And for some reason, TikTok thinks I'm interested in the Mexican drug cartel because those are all the videos that are on it. So sometimes it's not right, but I don't know. It's a little weird, but it's that and black Republicans. That's all my pages. It's just like the craziest thing. So, but I mean, I would suggest looking at the TikTok For You page and see like what the top videos are, which ones get the most likes, and kind of, you'll get what I'm saying. It's a lot of choreographed dances and everybody using the same song. That's kind of like trendy, and I don't think it applies to what we're doing here. The YouTube is is all audiences. So you may have somebody who's out there who says, oh, I bought this property, my dad, when he was alive, and I want to tap all the maple trees. How hard can it be to make maple syrup? You know, 9 days later, we all have this much syrup, and my dad like was throwing the buckets in the trash can. But guess what? When he wanted to learn how to do it, he went to YouTube and he watched videos made by people like you who can give tips and tricks on it. And if you can get your follower count up, all it takes is one video to go viral, where next thing you know, you have 10,000 followers, and every time someone clicks on your video, you're making a quarter. So, you know, it's definitely a great way to get your brand out there, but it's also a great way to have a second revenue stream. And that's a lot of information purposes. People like to see the nitty-gritty of everything. Like, what does the maple syrup person make for dinner, and how do they use their maple syrup, how to do it. If you kind of Google top YouTube creators and watch some of their videos, you'll get an idea of like what it is that works on YouTube. And then the same thing with Pinterest. Nobody's like really going to Pinterest, but like I said, it works really well with Google with recipes. So when you're making Pinterest pins, and somebody Googles like maple syrup recipe, it's most likely being generated through that Pinterest option, which is how you get the clicks to your site that you can take to retailers to say, 20 million people came to my account from Texas, and I want to put syrup there. Because when you get clicks to your, not COVID, just dry mouth. When you get clicks to your website and you put Google Analytics plugin on your thing, and it's very easy to do. You can watch a YouTube how to you like embed it, all these words I don't know. But when you go to your Google Analytics for your website, you can pull up very detailed data information as far as like, crazy information, but one that's very useful for a food business is pulling up the map and seeing where your visitors are coming from, and then they show you where you're doing your most mail order business, or where people are looking to buy your product, or who's coming to your site, and that kind of helps food brands. You know, everyone says, I meet with these clients and I say, well, what's your goal? Well, I want to have my product in every store in America. Well, can you keep up with that production? And there's nothing worse than not having a product in the store, is having a product in the store and it's not selling. So using Google Analytics by getting clicks is you can kind of see where your audience is coming from, and that makes you have much more thoughtful growth about where, as a small business, you want to grow your product to that's easy and that's going to be the most successful. So like that would be like me thinking a bunch of people in Nebraska are Czech and want to buy Czech bread dumplings, but they don't because they make their own. But you have the second generation of people who are living in Florida that don't have access to and that's where my clicks are coming from. So that's where I'm gonna, most sensibly grow my product to where I can keep up with production, and the product's not gonna be sitting on a grocery shelf, because that's the worst thing in the world, is getting a product in a store and it not moving.
Is that something you can go back on, like with that Google plugin? Like if I were to put it on the website now, will it tell me previously where this stuff is?
I think so, but I'm not totally sure about that. But either way, it's important to get it on there because it starts tracking that data like right away. And then when you do use one of the other things I use my Google Analytics for is creating relevant content to who's looking. But a perfect example of this is I do this with the dumpling company. So we have a huge customer base in Florida. A lot of people in Florida are of Czech descent, and it's too hot to cook there, so they're not making the dumplings. They want to buy them frozen. And so when I run recipes, I can look at Florida, to pull up the map of Florida, and break down the demographic of who's looking at the products, their age, their gender, keywords that they use on the internet, and then I can tailor content to that specific person. So I can create a post on Facebook knowing that the average person this last month on my Facebook from Florida was 62 years old and in Florida, so obviously I'm not gonna post an oven roasted recipe. They want something that's light and cool and whatever, and then I can create that post and then pay to sponsor it, and you on Facebook then go and click, I only want 65-year-old women in this town in Florida to see this ad, and that will pop up on all of their Facebook ads. And that's how you grow a brand. So when I was doing the stuffing recipe with the dumpling company, people are very particular about their mom stuffing or their grandma stuffing or their aunt stuffing. So I wasn't gonna run a boosted post to people who have the recipe. I tailored that recipe to young people who are just starting out building their own traditions, like, hey, this is a new recipe, like the green bean casserole, like you need to put this in your back pocket. And when I ran those ads through Facebook, I tailored it to the 18 to 25 set, and it went crazy. So those are really good things you can use those Google Analytics for, to know who's looking and what kind of information that they would be interested in. Down to this is the scary part, down to the things that they're typing into their cell phones of what they're looking up on the internet. It will tell you the average word. So weirdly, like with the dumpling company, for some reason, people who look at the dumpling company are always Googling DIY and Home Depot. So when I create an ad about dumplings, I put the keywords in the ad on Facebook that says DIY and Home Depot, because that's who's looking at it. So it's very creepy, but that's how your phone's listening to you. So when you look at your phone, you see something pop up, you'll be talking about it to someone, and the next thing you know, you look at your phone and there's an ad for it. That's what people are doing.
Spell check thing. Depot dumpling, Depot, it must have been a spell check. Like it's probably correct.
Maybe, or that's just in their characteristics or their platform. So, how do you like my graphics? So my best advice is when you decide on what platform that you're going to use, the best advice I ever got from a really successful blogger was to have a consistent voice on the platforms that I was using. And what she recommended I do is kind of look at those demographics and literally like cut a picture out of a magazine and tape it to my computer and basically pretend I'm talking to that person every time I write anything about my brand. So in my mind, everything that I create, my average user is 40 and over, women. That's my average user on the Tipsy Housewife. So I have a fake character, Gladys, who I talk to every day, and I create content that I think Gladys would really like, and that's the most of my users. Sorry if your name's Gladys, I don't, but like, she has silvery hair, and she has grandkids, and like, it's this whole person in my head that I pretend I'm talking to every time I write something, and that's how you get your brand to have its own voice, who is interested in your product. And so when I do put something on the internet that I know Gladys won't like, it proves itself wrong, because that's when I get all the hate mail. One lady said, she's turning me in. I'm turning you in. I'm like, so I don't know who your person would be. It could be this lady, it could be a young dad, it could be a mom, it could be a kid. I don't know like who. Well, don't make content for kids because you get in trouble for that. Well, they get mad like for the littlest. If you say like one swear word, then you get kicked off. So always have it be an adult. But actually find a picture of someone that you think that is interested in your product, and when you write, you know, captions or dialogue, or you're talking to the camera, pretend you're talking to that person specifically. And that kind of helps your algorithm as well, because you're posting the relevant content where these platforms know where to put you. So that's my other piece of advice. Have a separate account on Instagram and Facebook and all of these for your business. And when you're on that business page, don't look at your personal interests. Only look at stuff related to that brand. I'm sorry. So when I was talking with the dumpling company, when I first started taking over their account, we created the account, and the owner was super into college football. So he was going into the dumpling page and looking up Michigan state stuff and all this other stuff. So the algorithm gets confused. They're like, well, this is a food page, but they also like football. We don't know where to put them, so we're just not gonna show them at all. So when you're on your business account, you should be going to look at stuff of the same kind of customers you want to draw for your business. Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, all of the platforms reward users by using the platforms the way that they were created. So I make sure every single day to log into each of the accounts I manage and look at relevant content for that specific brand every day. Otherwise it doesn't work. And that's why people pay me to do it for them, because it's a lot of work. But I'm not to be gross, but like literally, like when you're sitting on the toilet or you're in bed at night, pick up your phone for 10 minutes and just look at a couple things, like a few things that are relevant. And put it down. Because that's what gets the algorithm to, and like honestly, it sounds stressful, but it becomes kind of fun because like one of the things I like to do is I go look at other relevant recipe blogger accounts, and I go look at what their top posts are and like, how did they take this picture? Why did this picture do so well? You know, like what's great about this picture? What makes me like this picture? And it gives you inspiration for creating your own content. Maybe this is like boring to some people, but like I have really come to enjoy like engaging, and it really makes me happy. Like with my Tipsy Housewife page specifically, especially the last couple of years, there's a lot of homebound people. So it seems silly like when I make an Instagram story of me just walking through the Aldi grocery store and showing the aisles, but I have an aunt who's been homebound for 15 years and she can't go do that, and so it makes her feel like she's a part of something. And so how that's relevant to your brand is that maybe, like me with the Disney couple, I don't plan on going to Disney. I have no interest to go to Disney. I don't have an interest to take a $10,000 loan to go to Disney. But
You got money though.
no, I got that money, yeah. Zuckerberg, thanks, Ducky, I'm going to Disney World. But anyway, like it gives you, it feels like you're there and you're somewhere and people are interested in that. And the things that you guys do, I'm sure, with the maple syrup making or the farming, or if you're growing flowers. I mean, you know, I was talking with someone here about how they grow plants. People are nosy. They want to see that kind of stuff. And this doesn't mean you have to tell them your business, but give them something to pay attention to, and that's how they connect with a brand. We talked about using the data and analytics from each platform to determine your person. So you might want to plug that Google Analytics app or program into your blog. Very easy. Most of you probably post on like WordPress or GoDaddy or something, right, of the sort. There's very easy videos. It takes like 3 clicks to get that onto your website so you can track that data, and then you kind of know who your user is. Sometimes you're very surprised at who your user is. One of my biggest users for me, besides the older women generation, are Mormons from Utah. And it's so interesting to me because I am a page that talks about alcohol, like basically being like maybe an alcoholic, I don't know. If you saw me in the bar last night, you know. But, you know, they can't, I don't know what it is, maybe they can't drink, so they want, like, I have a Mormon friend, and she's like, what does a hangover feel like? Goes, well, what does it taste like? What is alcohol? So maybe they're interested in it because it's not something they themselves can do. I don't know, I'm just like making this up. Sorry if anyone's Mormon, I don't know. But, that was like 20% of my users. And so then I started looking at like the food culture of Utah, and kind of, they're really big families. So they're into casseroles and they're into crock pot meals and they're into these things. And so I started designing some recipes based on that demographic, and boom, I saw my analytics go up like crazy. And that makes sense to do for a food product if you're selling that food product, because then you know what your users are looking for, like what would they use maple syrup for.
So the Google Analytics there, is that just what's the Facebook?
No, so the Google Analytics, if you have a website, you get your Google Analytics, and then you have to go into your website. You might have to have your web
So
person.
you have to create a website
Yes.
for your product,
Yes.
and then that's where you add your Google.
Yes, but what we're going to talk about is how each of the platforms has their own analytics that you can also utilize if you don't have a website.
Okay.
So you can watch a YouTube video on this too, because this is like a 4-week program for me to teach you everything about it. But each of the platforms has their own analytics or stats. They all call it something different. And this is the Facebook one. So it will tell you your engagement rate, your users, your impressions, and then there's things you can click around to kind of get like more detailed information about that. One of the things that I find very useful for me, this is Instagram, sorry, is to go look at my Instagram page. Sometimes I'll notice, well, right now, like I said, I'm in Instagram jail because they mentioned COVID, and that's one of the words that they censor. And I didn't even say COVID, I said sick, and I talked about using an essential oil to help my breathing, and they said I was spreading false information. It's ridiculous, but, so here, this is some of the Instagram insights. So you can go look at your posts and you can filter them how you want. So I'm gonna do like, say, the last 2 years. So if I notice that I'm having some kind of like dull, low engagement days, I'll go back and look at what my top posts were and why did those do good, okay? So I can see that most of my like home cooking meals do the best, or like Instant Pot meals or crock pot meals. So maybe I'll make more of those, or maybe like for some people it would be like something different. Like whatever your top posts are, create more of that, because that's what people are obviously liking on your page and are what's doing really well. So in the insights, there's a button on your Instagram, and Facebook has this, and Pinterest has this, and everybody has this. And you can see, here I'll show you Facebook.
It's called Insights.
Insights or data, like every platform calls it something different. So you can see here, these are my page insights for my Tipsy Housewives page on Facebook, and I can see like the last week I had 18.5 million users on my Facebook page. And that was from a sandwich post. But talk about what the customer conversion rate is for that if I was selling a product. So I work with Amazon as an influencer. So I have a special platform where if I like am wearing something and somebody says, oh, I like your lipstick color, I can link it in this Amazon account and, okay, 5 minutes. And that 18.5 million users created a conversion rate of like 2,000 people who bought the lipstick I posted about last week. And Amazon pays you barely anything, but still it's something. And these are ways, so like for maple syrup company, you can get an Amazon influencer account, even if you don't have a ton of followers, make a shop of equipment or supplies that you use, and you can generate money through that by saying, here's the hoses I use, and you could get them on Amazon, and then you get paid for a small percentage for every one that people click to your Amazon shop to do. So that's another stream of income.
Just a real quick question.
Yeah.
When you're on like Facebook and whatnot, you don't have to necessarily invite people to like your page. They can just, as they're looking at, they might see somebody else shared it, and then they can just like from there.
Yeah, okay, so what you want to do,
totally you had to go out and try to find everybody.
But what you want to do to grow your Facebook page is when you have a post that has a lot of likes, that you can go to the Facebook, it takes so long to upload. If you go to the post a post you've made, and you can click on the likes, like say it got 50 likes, you click on those likes, the list of names will pull up, and there'll be a little blue box next to them that says invite. Click all of those every single time, every time you post. Yeah. And then
Otherwise you're waiting.
no, it's not rude, because they might not know that they can like your page, and that way they'll see your post. You're not like spamming them or anything. It'll just say, Mr. Maple Syrup invited you to like his page. Do you want to like it? And it gives them the click button. So, I mean, obviously, if they liked your post, they probably want to see more of
Your
the
band
stuff.
is a creeper. I'm coming after Tipsy.
You won't. That's a normal thing. That's why they give you the invite button. This is what Facebook gives you as a tool to use. This is not me saying like ding dong ditch these people and be like, oh, my maple syrup. But use that invite option, because that's how you grow, and that people don't know. And again, remember, you're catering to the lowest common denominator. People don't know, so sometimes you have to teach them how to use the platform. When they rolled out Reels on Facebook, I had to tell my users, I had to make a video and say, go to this button and press this button with your clicker, because people just don't know, especially older people. They're not very comfortable, and some other people, old or not, don't know how to use it, so you need to teach them. And again, that's kind of what I said. People want to know how the sausage is made. So don't think anything you're doing is unimportant. People will watch me making a sandwich for my husband at 11 o'clock at night. So you don't know what it is that people are going to be interested in. But again, use the platforms, think about the things you like to see, and kind of model your content off of that.
You mentioned referring people or linking to your blog. Is that something like the GoDaddy website or?
Yeah, so like if you have a website for your business, then that would just be, you would put those links. So like,
Where do you do your blog? What platform do you use?
I use WordPress, because that's the one that's most compatible with the company that I do my ads through, called Mediavine. So that's another thing. If you guys get 25, once you have Google Analytics, you'll be able to see how many sessions you have a month, meaning how many people are coming to your site. Once you hit an average of 25,000 sessions a month, You go to a company called Mediavine and you say, I have this many users, they'll place the ads, and every month you get a check for people coming to your website. And the ads aren't obtrusive or anything. People are still coming to look at your site for information, whether or not they're buying anything. If you want it to be a maple syrup info site or whatever, or just about your lifestyle, that's a fourth stream of income. So that's how I make my money, you know, with these small food businesses, and help create some different streams of income for some of the smaller food businesses I work with, because they're experts in what they do. This isn't like, you know, a pizza company. This is specialty food items, and people are very interested in how did you get there? How did you make it? Where do you buy your equipment? How do you hook it up? How do I fix this machine if this breaks? These are all relevant information that should be on your page if your main goal. You have to be cognizant of what the reality of how much maple syrup you're going to actually sell. And maybe that's 10 million bottles a year, I don't know. But there's other things about your business that make sense that people would be interested in seeing on your social media platforms that aren't just about the actual syrup. Does that make sense?
So what is WordPress again? I've heard of it.
WordPress is just a hosting site to create a website. It's like if you want to have maplesyrup.com, and then you need to have someone who hosts it, that puts it on the internet, and that's where I put my blog on. But there's other ones. There's like GoDaddy, there's a few. For me, I picked WordPress because I knew I wanted to do the ads with Mediavine, and they're most compatible with one another.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, that depends on what your goals are. And like I said, 1 hour is not enough for me to share all this information with you. This is what I do, you know, for months on end when I work with businesses.
Just kind of quick summary, it seems like, you know, as producers, one of our goals is to sell our product.
Right.
And social media might be a means by which. But then there's also, in a way, a whole gamma of people interested in that, what you do.
Right.
And then, but how do you profit off of that information? You can take second, but by getting advertisers or
Right.
other type, you know, so that seems to be another, you know.
You want to drive, right, you want to drive numbers to your website, and then you can go to Mediavine and AdSense are the two main companies that put ads on informational websites or blogs. And I mean, to me, maple syrup is genius because of how many people want to start this up as a hobby. You know, and like on these platforms like Facebook and Instagram, they have shops. So you can create a shop where you sell your product direct from Facebook. And, you know, I don't know how you guys do shipping or however you do your shipping. But again, driving those numbers to your website, if you want to get into the retail space, that's what those buyers want to see. They want to see those Google Analytics you can't mess with. You can't, they know how to filter out bots. They know how to filter out too many clicks. It's actual information, and that's what food brokers want to see.
And that would be a third reason, is how do you get into the store by the Google Analytics? You can show the.
You bring those
store
Google
prices.
Analytics and say,
Look,
yeah,
you know.
I want to be in Minnesota because I had 17,000 clicks last month from this area of Minnesota, and your store is in Minnesota. Can I put my product in your shop? And this is what I'm going to do to sell the product.
Right, so there's multiple
Mhm.
ways of which.
You have to diversify your income with that. And like I said, like my blog makes this much money every month. My Facebook makes this much money. My YouTube, I don't really do a lot of, and I would like to because that's a great, especially when it's a skill set like what I'm assuming maple syrup is, a labor of love. People want to see the details.
So one way to make money off YouTube would be to get people who's advertised on your.
Right, so you might want to like say, can I give you my maple syrup, and then I charge somebody this many dollars to create a sponsored post on my page to say, I back this product. You know, and there's influencers out there who will, every single post is an ad, and I won't do that because I think you lose your authenticity.
Right.
So I put a cap on that for myself because honestly, I could be making like $30,000 a month from just talking about products every single, I get emails 10, 15 a day of people begging me to put my products on my page, but I don't want to lose. I was telling my cooking class, this vegan guy was like, please, I would really like to put my vegan like nut milk on your page. And I'm like, look at my recipes. Everyone starts with a stick of butter. Do you think my followers want your vegan nut milk? Like, no. Or someone wanted me to advertise their bikinis. I'm like, have you seen me? Like, you really think you really think that's gonna sell your stuff? Okay, fine. But, you know, so you can find people who are relative to your brand that you want to say, oh, I really like this maple syrup. This is this family's story. It's made in Wisconsin. This is a wonderful, you know, and you can, but you have to pay those people because it takes a lot of work to photograph the content, post it, and all of that. And that can range anywhere from $100 to like $2,500 for one post, depending on how many followers they have. It's usually about $100 per 1,000 followers that it was what they charged. So,
And I was gonna say, even down south, I've heard like Nevada and all that, where they don't have maple trees, and it's just outrageous, you can't even get, seems like maple syrup down there. They could get it cheaper from up north or a different area.
Right.
But shipping would still make.
right, and you can tailor your ads to people in Nevada. Like if you create an ad on Facebook with a picture of your maple syrup, if you go into the ad part of your Facebook page, it'll say like create an audience, and you can type in specific zip codes, cities, special interests of what they have, and then those people will see those ads for you, and that means they might, it's called conversion, they will actually buy the product. So like I said, utilize YouTube now to learn about how to like optimize each of those platforms. For me, not knowing a ton about what the whole maple syrup process is like, I really strongly suggest getting a recipe and or how to make maple syrup on a website, create a post on your website about that, get clicks from Pinterest and Facebook from that, and drive traffic that way to your sites. And then YouTube is a whole other ballgame, because you have to, everything on social media, that's the other annoying thing, everything on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, you're filming this way. Everything for YouTube, you have to film this way, or it doesn't transfer to their platform. So that's another huge pain in the ass, that's whatever, but, which is now, why people pay me all this money to do their crap for them.
April, we just wanna say thank you so much.
Thank
for
you,
being here.
guys, thank you.